Hello, how are you? This is Ahmed Moiro, and I'm here to advise on how we can increase speed on our phones, on our routers, MiFi's. Majorly, I don't want us to go, I want to be brief, so I don't want to go into the hardware issues. So I assume that before you buy that phone, before you buy that MiFi, before you buy that router, uh, you know the specifications. You know the specifications that I'm buying this phone and it can support 4G or LTE, it can support 5G, it can support 2G. So you need to know what you're buying. And for that one who already has it, of course there's less you can change on the hardware side. But then before you buy any phone, before you buy any router, you need to know which internet speeds can it support, how many megabytes per second can it accommodate, and then you need to know, is it universal or is it for one network, because some networks may not work effectively in some locations because of course of infrastructure issues like installation of masts and what. So to go on the topic of today, most of the times we find our phones really so slow. Maybe we are trying to play back a video, we're trying to load a website, we're trying to open a link. I decided to do this video because I know many people are studying from home and are using internet. One of the major issues of slow speeds, of course, now that we have put the hardware issues behind, I want us to look at the software and then maybe the app issues or the issues not concerning hardware. One of the things that people tend to have a lot of apps that they don't actually need or that are not useful. Most of these apps consume background data, like they consume data without your knowledge. Even if you've not opened it, certainly it will be consuming your data. Some apps tend to have inbuilt notification, like whenever you connect to a router or to a MiFi or to a Wi-Fi hotspot, they tend to start consuming your data from behind. So they increase traffic on your internet service provider. It may be a router, it might be a MiFi, or it may be your very own phone. So you need to know the apps on your phone. For example, me personally, I only have WhatsApp, I have Facebook, I have the camera apps, and on all these apps I always go in the settings of my internet settings, mobile internet settings, or I go in the app settings, and then I switch off background mobile data for the apps that I want to use. So some apps tend to consume data. Away from apps that consume data, also we tend to install unnecessary apps. These unnecessary apps, when I say unnecessary, these are apps that you don't really need, that you're not using directly. I've seen people downloading apps that help on battery saving, but most of the phones actually have the battery setting system in them, so you don't need to download another app. I've seen people having multiple cameras in their phone. You just need to decide on which camera you want to use. I've seen people having a lot of dormant unused apps, but they are causing traffic on their phones. And of course, when they cause traffic, they increase the activity in your mobile phone, which even drains the battery so fast, hence reducing on battery life of your phone. So the next thing, away from the apps, you need to also know the capacity of your phone in terms of internet speeds. Most of these things, they are written on specifications. They are written on specifications of the phone. For example, you know that I have a Tecno ABCD and it supports 3G, and the line I have is ABCD. So you need to know the capabilities of your phone. You need to know the capabilities of your phone so that you don't stress it. You don't have like over expectations on it. And then another thing is that also VPN apps tend to slow or limit data, because for example, like for me, I use Siphon Pro, but then you see when you go to the app, you realize that there's a data limit. It limits me to 2 MBs per second. So even if I would wish to get more speeds, maybe I'm watching a video they will tend to slow a bit down, and the VPN tends to turn on all the apps through it. So VPNs also decrease speeds. And for example, if you know that maybe you're using an app which does not need VPN, you can switch it off. You can switch it off because WhatsApp, for example, doesn't need VPN, Google doesn't need VPN, YouTube doesn't need VPN. So if you're not using VPN, you need to switch it off, and also to always check whether it's not in the background. Another thing away from VPNs, you need to go to your settings, to your internet settings. Of course, it's displayed differently on different phones, but you can go to your internet settings and mobile internet settings, and then you go into settings, and then you check your data limits. Some phones are limited to 2 GB per month. So the moment you're close to exceeding your data limit, you realize that the internet speeds are slowing down. Another issue is that when you're using your phone, you need to avoid multiple opening of many apps, because whenever the phone eats up, even if those apps are not necessarily on your internet, the moment the phone eats up, it will reduce on the internet speeds. It will gradually reduce on all apps, the settings, the what. Of course, some expensive phones will notify you that you're over draining the battery, but then some won't let you know that. So if you're not using the app, you close it. If it's a camera, if it's a radio, and you're not necessarily using it, you can close it. Don't just minimize it, you close it. Another thing, for people who use a router or a Wi-Fi, you realize that sometimes the internet speed is fast and sometimes it's slow. There are many reasons that can bring up to this. For example, the temperature, because a router or a Wi-Fi is like any other computer. So the moment it overheats, for example, if maybe it's placed on a bed or in a wall or in the kitchen or anywhere where the temperatures are really high, it will reduce speed, because there's a processor in the Wi-Fi or the router, and the moment it heats up, it will reduce the speeds. Another thing is that for some of you have woofers or home theaters or devices that use Bluetooth. Whenever you have to place your router or Wi-Fi in a place where there's less wireless interactions. For example, Bluetooth, there are wireless interactions, because if there's a router and then you place there maybe a Bluetooth speaker, and then you're playing that Bluetooth speaker, you realize that Bluetooth speaker will interfere with the speeds will gradually reduce on your router or Wi-Fi. So you need to place your router or Wi-Fi strategically in a place where you know that it will not be interfered with other wireless devices like Bluetooth speakers, other like microwave, like TV, antennas, and what. Then the other thing concerning still the router and Wi-Fi, when you purchase the router or Wi-Fi, because different routers have different specifications according to the manufacturer and the brand. So sometimes you need to go to set it. For example, set the internet speeds to, because some routers tend to change from 2G to 4G to 3G. So you need to really set the kind of internet speed or like which you want, because if you leave it to automatically set it, you realize that for it will go to the easiest. So you'll find that your speeds are running like 2G when you have a line which can support 4G. So you need to go into the settings of the router, and then if you go in the settings, you go to the settings and you dictate it to only use 4G if that's your preference. If you want it to also use 2G or 3G, you dictate it to that. So we all should always really learn to, and then actually another thing concerning internet speed, sometimes when the speed is slow, you realize that a lot of your data is consumed, because you'll be reloading pages. A page which would have been loaded by maybe like 20 kilobytes will load for 1 MB because you're all opening it. And then the final thing about internet speeds is that you always have to clear. It's called cache. I don't know. people pronounce it differently. But when you go in your internet settings, you realize that it's there. You have to clear cache. Like for example, different apps have different cache. It's called cache. You can call it kaki. People pronounce it differently. But when you go to the app settings and you go to a certain app, you realize that there is some information that is saved. So it piles up. And whenever the cache is not cleared, it will be difficult for you to get amazing internet speeds, because the pages are loading and then the history is loaded. It's like trying to pump something in a bag which is already full. So you try to clear cache, and basically those are the major ones. Just like my final remark is that we need to have fast internet speeds. First of all, it saves our data, and another thing, it saves our battery, because I know most of you are doing a lot of things online. You're doing live videos, you're also studying on like you're studying on your phone, you're studying on PCs, but you need to consider many factors, because the moment you have slow internet speed, it will stress you. First of all, it will take a lot of your data. It will also, like for example, the items I talked about when I was just starting, it will drain your battery. Some apps are relevant, some apps are they don't help you in any way, but you're keeping them and they are consuming your data. So basically, those are the major ones. And then another thing is that you should also avoid clicking on links that you don't know where they're coming from, because some of these links they are like viruses, and these viruses, they will be installed in your browser, of course varying on your phone. They will be installed inside your browser, and you will not be knowing. So you should also avoid clicking on different links that you really don't know where they are coming from. I've seen some in groups where people click on links because maybe it's a job link. So if you don't understand the whereabouts of any link, don't just click it, because it may install viruses in your phone, which will also cause slow internet speeds on your device. I hope it has helped you. If you have any question, you can leave them here in the comment section. Perhaps next week I'll also add light on the questions that you may have asked me when I'm talking on another topic. Thank you so much. This is your friend, your bro, Ahmed Mubiru. I wish you all a good night. Thank you so much.